Okay. Meanwhile, we'll start the recording of the Zoom. Yeah, I think it is on. Yeah, we are live on YouTube.
All right, thank you. So welcome everybody to the February edition of Joomla NXT. This is the 7th event in the series that we started last August, where we get people from the Joomla community, people from different domains, developers, business people, different types of people from the Joomla community to talk to us, share their insight, share how they've been working with Joomla, share their Joomla journey, and then kind of educate and educate our viewers about different topics each time. So this time, so like I said, 7th in the series, looking forward to many more. Some of our past speakers here. I think this slide is now getting over. Next time, I think we'll need a new slide on this. All right. So this time around, we have another fantastic personality. So we have Marc from Woluweb. Marc is based out of Belgium, and Marc has been contributing. He's been kind of part of the community for quite some time now. Marc is going to be speaking about customizing Joomla 4 smart search result page. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. So welcome, Marc. Thanks for joining this platform, and we look forward to an amazing session today. So Marc, I'll just request you to introduce yourself and maybe a couple of minutes of your Joomla journey, and also something about Woluweb, and then we can dive into the topic.
Yeah,
over to you,
sure.
Marc.
Should I share my screen? Is it the right
Yeah.
time?
Yes.
Okay. So, are you seeing a map now on the screen?
Yeah, we see a map now. Yes.
Okay. So, my name is Marc Dechevre, and I'm pretty fond of Joomla. I started about 10 years ago. And then I joined my first local Joomla user group, and was a bit shy. I was kind of a newbie. Then I started to get involved with my Joomla user group. Then the guy who founded the Joomla user group invited me to my first Joomla day. And I was thinking, this is not for me. I mean, nobody knows me. It's too big for me, but still I went, and there I discovered a whole world. I learned so many things. I met so many people. It was really exciting, and so this is how I started to get involved in the community. And since then, as you can see on the map, actually I've made quite many attending many Joomla days or Joomla events, and made many presentations. Like this is the map of all the sessions I've made. So in red, it's all the in-person meeting, and in the other colors, it is when, like today, it is at virtual.
That's pretty fantastic. I like the map. It's fun to maintain the places we've been speaking.
Yeah, I mean, since we can't travel, I mean, it was a way to still have the feeling that I was moving a little bit with COVID. But so I have a website where I gather now all my presentation, because when I make a presentation, I like to give the details, not just 3 slides with 5 words on each, that after the session people think, oh, it was interesting, but when they want to do it themselves, then they get lost. So I gather all my presentation on slides.woluweb.be. Maybe you can share the link in the chat. So there you have the whole list of the sessions. And as you will see, actually my favorite topic is custom fields. Custom fields were introduced by Alan Moritz for Joomla 3.7. And really, without custom fields, I think I would have left Joomla maybe, because on all my websites, I need custom fields. So the fact that it is core, it is really a strong feature of Joomla. And I've made like about 10 articles in the Joomla community magazine about Joomla custom fields. And then the funny thing is that when Techjoomla asked me for a session for the February session, well, I mean, most of the time I speak about custom fields. Then you told me, oh, Mark, we already have a session about custom fields. It was a great session, by the way, presented by Robbie, right? And so can you please choose another topic? And I was thinking, oh, that's a challenge. Not speaking about custom fields, but as you will see, I still managed to introduce custom fields in my
YouTube. Absolutely, yeah.
I can't help myself, right? So the topic of today is customizing Joomla 4 Smart Search result page with images, custom fields, and also a new layout, if you like. So I will start with the end. What you see, maybe I should zoom a little bit, right? What we will be able to get at the end of the session is this. This is just a screenshot, right, in the presentation. So the Smart Search, instead of having the classical layout like in Google, where all the results are just one after another, so it's a kind of an ordered list. Well, here we will have cards. I'm not saying you should have cards, right? But maybe if you want to start to play with filters afterwards on the Smart Search result page, we'll speak about that. Then maybe you want something looking more like a blog. So that's easy to do. Also, we'll see how to add images, the intro image of articles. So these are the banners, the red, green, and blue banners there. This required an override until yesterday, and yesterday Joomla 4.1 was released, and now it is a feature thanks to Sakis. We'll speak about that later. And then I was already happy. I had all my content, but I was thinking, it would be nice to have custom fields on the Smart Search result page. I had never thought of that. And we'll do that. We'll do that with regular custom fields, like the first one, which is just a link, right? And I gave it the look of a button. And I also made a session for Joomla User Group London in end of December about the new type of custom field introduced by Joomla 4, which is the Subform. Just to have a demo of what you can do, I was showing that, for example, with a custom field of type Subform, which is a kind of repeatable custom field, right? To use another word. You could have a slideshow. I'm not saying that you should have slideshows on your website. It's just to show, it's just a use case, right? Just to say you have several slides, each of them having an image, having a title, having a description, having a duration, etc. So even that custom field of type Subform, I will be able to inject it in my Smart Search results page. So this is the goal of today's session. So just go to my website, slides.woluweb.be, if you want to follow live or to see after the details. And I'm saying here, please contribute. I mean, I'm discovering these things about the Smart Search result page, because in Joomla 3, I was a bit lazy and I always use the classical search, right? So it's not that I have a long experience with the Smart Search, but I've discovered many things. But maybe you will see a typo, maybe you will have a suggestion, maybe you'll see an improvement of this presentation, whatever. So just give me the feedback after the session anytime, because I will turn this presentation into a Joomla community magazine article, hopefully for the next one, so in March. So if it can be improved in any way, please don't hesitate. So the Joomla 4.1 new features. Yesterday, there were a few online events, like the JUG London yesterday evening, our time, European time, and also in Germany and probably other places. and there we spoke about the great new features, the big features of Joomla 4.1 released yesterday. Among them, you have the task scheduler, the child templates. I love that one, but that's another topic. The accessibility checker, the syntax highlighting in Tiny MCE. I've not participated to the code, but it is a question I had raised a few months ago, and then Brian and Dimitris worked immediately on that and made it reality. So that's really great. Inline help, etc., etc. So I'll give the link if you want to read more about the different new features. And by the way, this is just a note, but if you use Cassiopeia, the native Joomla 4 template, front-end template, if you want to have a custom CSS file, actually it is called, it is named user.css in Cassiopeia. And with the coming of the child templates, it was a good opportunity to do some tidying. Is that the right word? And so now all the media of the templates are automatically moved to the media folder. So instead of being templates Cassiopeia CSS, now it becomes media template site Cassiopeia CSS user.css. Why am I mentioning this right now in the introduction? Is because afterwards we will play with CSS. So don't be confused. Until yesterday, it was in the template folder, and since yesterday, it is in the media folder. So for those who would not have known about this this fact, it's good to know. But then there are also more discrete features not mentioned in the big announcements, etc. And like the one we will show today is really great in my opinion. Like adding the images in the smart search result pages. So I'll give a few links because Jeroen from the Netherlands made an overview of the new features of Joomla 4.1, and he mentions it. Whom should we thank for this new feature? It is Sakis Tersis, also known as Blue Coder. He's a guy from Greece, and that's a great feature. And he also has a nice extension, but I will mention this at the end. So how to add the intro image of an article in the smart search result page. Actually, there is a thing that I was totally unaware of, is that already in Joomla 3, actually, I think, I've not checked, but I'm pretty sure, you could already customize the smart search result page. So here I give the link to the documentation. So we're speaking about the smart search, right? So not the old classical search, which is dropped now in Joomla 4. And actually, if you look at the documentation, you can make an override of the default results view, which gives each item, right, in the list of your results. And if you make an override and you give it a name like default article, then you can override an article result in the smart search result page, right? So independently, you can adapt articles and or categories and or contacts, etc., which is really nice because it's exactly what we want to do. For example, if you want to add the intro image or a custom field in that view, or change a little thing, I don't know, maybe you want more characters of the intro text, right? Actually, you just make an override. It's explained in the documentation. And if you want it to pertain only to apply only to articles, you would just name it default articles. Now, you don't want to have a great mess, right? You should be coherent, because when you make a smart search, you can get articles and or categories and or contacts and or newsfeed. So, I mean, if they all have a different layout, probably it will not be very nice to see. in the front end. But as long as you are a bit coherent, if you change the layout of these different types of results, then you can have something nice. And so that was a big thing that I ignored, and that Sakis made me aware of, that you can customize that view. And actually, so until up to yesterday, before the release of Joomla 4.1, so with Joomla 4.0, you could simply make an override and add the intro image. This is what Sakis explained in mid-December in a very interesting article, right? You see the classical search, and afterwards, well, the smart search, but without the image. And afterwards, he adds the intro image here. And he explains with many screenshots. So if you want to be to have the details, just go here, and it's really well written. I go back to the session. Now, the nice thing is that not only did he publish a nice blog article, but he made this a Joomla 4.1 feature. So now this is out of the box with Joomla 4.1. So how does it work? And I give the link to the pull request. If you go to, well, I will do it live on a website. So this is a website, subform.joomlacustomfields.org, which I made in December for the Joomla User Group London when I was explaining the Subform custom field. And I started with this website. If I make a search, a smart search, let's say I'm looking for lorem, from lorem ipsum. Right, this is the normal look of the smart search result page, right? A bit boring. Well, not more boring than the Google results page, but I mean, it's not very sexy when you think that we are on a website and we have images, we have custom fields, we have different things like that. We can certainly improve that. So actually, if I go, since yesterday in Joomla 4.1, if I go to Components Smart Search, and I click on any of the items there, like I take the first one, index, all I want to do is to reach the Options button at the top right. I click there. And now in the numerous options, I have a new one called Result Image. And I can show it, right? If I show it, I save. I go back to the website. I refresh my search. And now I have the intro image. It can't be easier, right? Here, you also have another new option, which is, should the link to the article also be on the image? So you could set it to no. By default, it was no, but I set it to yes, because what will a user do? I mean, if there is an image, they want to click on it, right? It is quite intuitive. So in my opinion, you should leave that to yes, or set that to yes. And also there is an image class. So of course you can define your own CSS classes and do whatever you want, like setting a maximum size for the image so that it is always the same size on the page, because maybe your intro images have different sizes according to the different articles. But I will take another example using a class which is already available in Cassiopeia, so the standard Joomla front-end template. It is called float start, if I'm not mistaken. If I save and I go back and I refresh, you see the float start is a bit like a float left. If you remember in Joomla 3, for the intro images, you could, in an article, when you were editing an article, you could say, is it left, right, or nothing specified? But left or right is not really universal, right? In the sense that in some countries we write left to right, in some other countries we write right to left. So actually, Joomla has improved that, and so this is why we don't have a class called float left or whatever. It is called float start, because for me, I have a left to right language, so it is left. But somebody in an Arabic country, for example, it would be right aligned. The image would be right aligned using float start because it starts with the right. This was just an example, right? So I will just remove my class because I don't need it after. But this is a first very easy result to reach, adding the intro image. So thanks a lot. Thumbs up to Sakis for this new feature. Then also, maybe you're not aware of that, but it's interesting. You can also sort the results on your result page. If you, let me go back to the backend. If you go to the menu item, so I go to my main menu, I only have 2 items, home and search in this case. I open it. Right. On one of the tabs, it is the advanced tab, I think. Yeah. You can sort the results. By default, it is, well, but by default in Joomla, unless you change the default setting, of course, it is by relevance, because yeah, on I don't know, on a real website is what you probably want to get. But you can also choose title. And for example, in this case, I had selected title. This is why here actually I have article 1, article 2, article 3, because it is the alphabetical order by title. And I had said ascending in this case. If you choose relevance, then you would choose probably descending to have the most relevant first. And then very funny, if someone has the explanation, relevance, I understand what it means, title, I understand what it means, date, I understand what it means, most recent first, for example, but there is this list price. And apparently I had a little chat with Brian Tiemann yesterday during the Jack London, and I was asking, what is this list price? And apparently he was saying that it does not know for sure, but it dates from, yeah, it is ages ago. It has been there forever, but nobody knows what it does. So if somebody can investigate that, I would be very curious to know what it is. Probably it can be deleted, or maybe it has some use, but I have no clue. Okay, this was a detail. So like in my case here, maybe I will use this page more like a blog view. So I decide to sort it by title, but choose whatever you like. This is the sorting from the backend. So you decide, and it is imposed to your visitors, to the visitors of your website. But then there is another PR, another pull request, sorry, that Sakis made, but which is not yet merged. So it is not in Joomla 4.1, right? The previous pull request of Sakis, the intro image was merged, so it is available since yesterday. But this one, I give the link, was actually doing the same thing, but allowing the front-end visitor to see a drop-down so that he could, or she could, change that default order, right? So this is an interesting feature. Please go and see GitHub and test it further, make your comments so that we would get this new little feature in the future. Then the next thing is that I was showing in my example at the start. So far, we have a classical presentation of the smart search being just an unordered list, right? The items one after another, and a little border between the items to clearly separate them. But I wanted to have something more like a blog view. For example, it's just an example. Maybe you don't need that. Then just forget this section of the presentation. But actually, of course, as I was explaining, you could make an override and change totally the PHP structure, well, the HTML for the articles. But if you do that, be aware that the results will also show contacts, categories, tags, etc., web links, etc. So just make sure you are coherent and for the different types of items which can be thrown by the smart search. But here, if what I want to do is having a blog view, actually, I don't even need to touch the HTML to make a PHP override. CSS is enough. And so this is why I was mentioning the new place of the user.css since Joomla 4.1, which is now in media templates, site, Cassiopeia, CSS folder. So actually, what we want to do is just with a few lines of CSS, I'm saying that the unordered list, because technically in HTML, that result page is an unordered list. I'm just saying, well, instead of displaying them one after the other, each element one after the other, we will display them as a grid. This is called CSS Grid. If you have never heard of that, it is the good moment to jump on it, because Joomla 4 makes use of CSS Grid for different layouts. So it's quite handy if you want to change, I don't know, the width of the left and right columns, and or do different or move positions. Say, oh yes, on a smartphone I would like bottom B to be before bottom A or whatever. You could just do that with one line of CSS without having to do an PHP, an override and play with PHP. So here, thanks to CSS Grid, go and have a look for yourself if you don't know what it is. But I can say, hey, my items in the unordered list, I want to have a grid, and I want to have each element to be, well, this is a bit an advanced writing. I'm saying, hey, I want it to be full width, and each element being the same size, one fraction, but with a minimum of 400 pixels, right? So this is more generic than saying just one fraction, one fraction, one fraction, because on a large screen you would have 3 columns, but then on a smartphone you would also have 3 columns. So this is a quick way to make it responsive. I'm setting a minimum width. I'm saying that they are all the same size, and it will take the full width, the full available width. Okay, I won't comment each line of CSS, right? Just have a look for yourself. But basically, the most important thing is that we have CSS Grid, and then I just make a little border, a little shadow, so that it looks like cards. And there is one here. One thing I added to CSS is that, if you remember, between each item in the result page, we had a border. I don't want a border if I have a card, right? The border makes sense in this layout. So then I would just simply remove that border and saying that the border top is 0, so that we forget about the Cassiopeia border for this. So let's make this, and if you don't know how it works, you can do it via FTP. You can edit the user.css file. I've not checked since Joomla 4.1. Can I just edit here with the site templates? I've not checked yet, right? So yes, I can see now it is split, the templates folder and the media folder. So if I go to CSS, I see my user.css file. And actually, my lines were ready. They were just commented. So I will enable them. Right, I just saved my CSS file. Now, this is what we had, an ordered list, right? Quite classical. Now, if I refresh, okay, and I emptied the cache, then I have what I wanted, a kind of blog view for the smart search result page, just with a few lines of CSS that you can, if you want another color for the border, well, you will adapt. But basically, this is as easy as that. Now, this is where I got, and I had enough content for today's session. And I was thinking, yes, but Mark, you love custom fields, and the next thing you'll want to get on this Smart Search result page are custom fields. So I started to investigate that, and with the help of Alexandre Élysée from Martinique, I managed to do that. So how to make the override? I already showed the documentation page, so it was already like that in Joomla 3, as far as I know. So you simply copy the content of the default _ result.php file, and you put it in the right place, and you change the name to article here, so that it will only apply to articles, and that's it. That's how you create the override. So let's see here in my interface. So it is now in the backend. If I go to Cassiopeia, HTML, ComFinder, search, and I've copied the original file. I've renamed it to default _ article.php, and here it is. So far it is almost intact. What I've done, I've just added a few things to add custom fields. Actually, if you would just add the line showing a custom field just like you do in an article override, it will not work, because the Smart Search result page does not trigger, so to say, the custom fields. So actually, we have to say to that page, oh, sorry, here, maybe I'll zoom a bit. So a bit less, yeah. So we have to say to that page that we want to fetch the custom fields of the given article. And so it is what these 3 lines do. So these 3 lines that I've pasted there, you can find them here in the presentation. So the first line makes the fields helper available in our override. The next one creates a variable which will contain all the custom fields. And the last one uses a pivot on the ID, so that we can very easily say, I want the custom field with ID 1 or 2 or 7 or 11, right? So now, if somewhere in my result page I want to add the value of a custom field, I would just add this little line, right? I would just say, okay, echo my variable, so the custom fields having ID number 10, and I want the row value. Let me do that live. So where would I do that? Well, not anywhere, obviously. Actually, for example, here in to make it easy, I will write it right after the li, so the elements, HTML element. So now if I uncomment this so that I activate this line, so now I will echo the row value of the custom field having ID 10. Right, it is saved. Now, what I did not show you, maybe I should open a new page to show you that. What is this custom field 10 that I created? So, okay, in my case it's 10 because it is the I've created 10 custom fields so far. So what is it? It is a custom field of type URL, right, to make links. And in that custom field, I named it custom field for external URL, right? And what did I say? I said that I wanted to have a class button primary, so to give it a look of a button in the primary color. And yeah, and that's all, as easy as that. So now let's go back to the search page and let me refresh that page. Yes. Now, for each article, I had set up a link in that custom field, and I see them right at the start of the li of the element of the unordered list here at the top. Good. So, but this is a raw value, right? So it does not render with the nice button primary with the label of the custom field. If I had set show label to yes and not no. So this is our next step. Let me go back to the presentation. So now, actually, normally when you make an article override, when you type raw value, you get the raw value namely technically the value written in the database, so not interpreted, not rendered. If it is a video, it will be the video link, it will not be the video player. When you type value instead of raw value, typically what you have on an override of an article view is that then it is rendered. So then you don't get just the URL of a YouTube or Vimeo video, but you will get the real player, right? So value works automatically in an article override. But here, as I was saying, nothing is prepared in the Smart Search to trigger all the necessary stuff to render the custom field. So actually, what we will do is not a simple echo the custom field value, but we will use the fields helper made available by Joomla. So actually, all you have to do is to copy paste this and it will render, right? You see here field.render. And we are saying that we are rendering the custom field with ID 10. So let me do that here. Now, if I go to the same place, where was it? A bit further down, I guess. Yeah. Let me uncomment here so that we have the same code. I refresh the search. Yes. So now this was the raw value. And right after we have the value. So the value means if the label is set to show yes, then we see the label of the custom field and it is rendered properly. In our case, I had added a button primary style class, so it has the look of a button. So I'm happy now we can display a custom field on the result Smart Search result page. But the next step, precisely actually on this demo website, this was a demo website for, as you can see, for the custom field of type Subform, where I wanted to show, well, look, let's make a carousel out of a custom field of type Subform, which is a kind of repeatable custom field, right? So you can say, oh, I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11, 20 slides, and each slide has one image, one title, one duration. That's another topic as such. So I refer to the presentation I made in December. So if you go to slides.woluweb.be, you will see, and you search for Subform, you will see here it was this presentation. So there you have all the details about the custom field of type Subform and how to play with that. So for that custom field, what do we have? Actually, it is basically the same thing. You see, I was just setting slide title, duration, image. The only special thing that I had made is that I had made a special layout. So here in the render options, there is a layout, right, that you can select. So you can make an alternate, what is called an alternate layout for a custom field. And if you select it here in the configuration of the custom field, then it will apply everywhere on your website. Everywhere, like in the articles when you make your regular overrides. But here, if I do it on this page, let me just quickly adapt that. Where was I here? Where is the elements? Sorry, this is difficult to see on this editor. Right. So let's suppose the ID of the custom field of type subform. So my carousel is ID number 4. So I change 10 to 4. And let's see what it gives. Oh, no, it's not that page. Sorry. It is the Smart Search result page. And let me search for lorem. Okay. Actually, it has not taken it has not triggered my alternate layout. This is just what you get when you select no alternate layout. So again, this is because I'm not in the context where it is foreseen that I use a custom field. So it does not trigger automatically my alternate layout. But that's not a problem. It's just that we have to slightly adapt in our override. Well, I'll just switch back to the presentation. So actually, instead of saying field.render, which renders with the default layout, I will just adapt that to say, do you remember my alternate layout was called London, london.php. So see the other presentation for the details. So actually here, instead of field.render, I just type field.london. And then I am forcing this alternate layout for my custom field. So now, if I go to the backend here and I adapt this, so I will just comment this and uncomment that one. So this is the one I'm uncommenting is the one having field London. So I'm forcing the alternate layout London. And now if I refresh, yes, we have our slideshows, right? So I can go back, forward, directly select another slide for each of them. So even this advanced case, maybe you never need that to force an alternate layout for a custom field. Maybe you did not even know that it would exist, those alternate layouts, right? So, but even those advanced cases, you can easily manage in one line in your override of the Smart Search result page. So we are quite far, I think. Yeah, here's special case. I won't mention that, but it's just that in my Jug London session, I was, it is very specific to the fact that, where is the website? When you have several carousel, each one should have a unique ID because there is JavaScript which makes those carousels slide, right? So each of the carousel should have a unique ID so that when you click on next, it knows which one should go to the next slide. And I was giving for Jug London different, and for the Joomla Community Magazine, different ways of adding a unique ID. And one of those techniques was to override another file, but that technique is not good for this case because then it becomes more tricky. So this is just what this is explaining, but forget about it if you're not, if it is not your case. Then the ultimate step is that now that we've got this, this kind of smart result where you can add the image, you can add your custom fields, you can, well, of course, we have made an override. So now if you would say, hey, Mark, actually, I would like to have the title first. Yes, of course. Here, it was just to make it easy that I put all my custom fields at the top, right after the li element, HTML element. But of course, now you could customize it further and say, oh, I want, in the introduction, I want more than the first, I don't know, 150 characters or something like that here. I want the first 3 paragraphs and I want all the intro text. You can customize further your override. It is just there, just a few lines to edit. But now that you have this kind of block view where you have anything that you like, intro, image, custom fields, whatever, the next step will be to say, hey, it would be really nice to be able to filter on that, so that I could say, hey, I want to filter, I don't know, if the custom field is about, I don't know, year of birth, you could filter, okay, all the writers who have a date of birth of 1971, whatever. So actually, I have some good news for you. This is beyond the current presentation, right? But one of the reasons why Sakis knows very much about the Smart Search result page and made the 2 PRs that I mentioned is that he has a very nice extension, and I think it's the only filtering solution for Joomla using the Smart Search result page. And since the Smart Search is really smart, it's really powerful. I mean, it makes it a very interesting solution. So there are different filter solutions, but the one by Sakis called JFilter is the only one, I think, using the Smart Search. And so actually what you can get, well, maybe I should go to the demo site. It will be clearer. So there is the official website for that extension. I'm just saying, I'm not sponsored by Sakis. It's just I appreciate his work, the 2 PRs he has made for Joomla Core, and also his extension. Actually, he's not sponsoring me. It's a bit the other way around. I've never used this extension in production so far, but I was so excited when he released that and I saw what it was that I bought a license. So I paid him a license that I'm not even using, just because I find this extension great. So have a look at it. And the demo site, I was saying, this is a bit clearer. So this is the smart search we've been playing with. And as you can see, you can say, oh yes, the films. Here it was pre-filtered on movies, but I also want comedy. Or maybe I want to remove the filter. So you can start to play, wait, just, one second. Yeah, so the smart search. If I choose movies, yeah, right. And because it applies not only to the custom fields, also to the categories, to I think the tags as well. So now I could add another filter, which is action, and another feature, custom features adventure, where to watch, the language, and with the numbers, etc. So this is the next natural step, maybe, that you will want to take if you start customizing the Smart Search result page, is to add a filter. And also, very interesting is that he made a presentation for basic Joomla for Tim Davis. And this is really worth looking, because actually, at first I had thought, okay, it's a module filter for the Smart Search result page. And on the website, you only have one search page. But actually not. You can create several modules and apply them. So really play with it like if you were adding filters on blog views, etc. So have a look at this video, because I learned a lot when I attended live. Now, to conclude, the whole session was about the Smart Search result page. But just to broaden the perspectives, if you have a website having really a huge traffic on search, then you could also investigate other possibilities. Like you have Elasticsearch or Algolia, which are really external search engines that you can apply to your Joomla website. So I'm not an expert. I've never played with Elasticsearch and Algolia. Well, as a user, I know Algolia because it is used for the JED, the Joomla extensions directory, right? But if you really have a heavy traffic on search, then maybe there are even more solutions than these ones, right? But these are 2 ones I quickly found. One for Elasticsearch by Joomla Geek, and another one by Xly for Algolia. So it was just to broaden the perspectives. And so here we are. I've covered everything, hopefully on time. And I wanted to thank Joomla NXT for organizing those monthly sessions. I really appreciate, I attend all of them. It's really a nice initiative. So thanks Techjoomla for having me today. And thank you also to the many members of the Joomla community. Those who are J positive. Not everybody is positive in life or is J positive, but there are so many people who are J positive, and I appreciate that. Like in the case of this session, I had chats with Sakis, I had chats with different people, Alexandre Vizet, who helped me, etc. Or here for those two extra extensions. It was Jan Gomerio. Okay, so thank you very much to all the people who get involved in the community. And yeah, just if you want to get in touch, if you have any feedback about this presentation, how to make it better, how to improve things, just get back to me and I'll be happy to improve, because I will convert this, as I was saying in the introduction, into a Joomla Community Magazine article. So if anything can be improved, please don't hesitate. Right, so that was it.
All right, great. Thanks a lot, Mark. I think awesome presentation. A lot of new stuff, a lot of insights in terms of how people can use smart search, how they can tweak, and then I think the last bit about how we can go beyond smart search, again, very useful. So thanks a lot for a session.
My pleasure.
So there are a couple of questions on YouTube. So there's a question from Jeff. Jeff Wilson asks, why was the standard naming convention, why was the standard naming of custom.css changed to user.css? You have any thoughts on that?
The standard was changed to what?
So Jeff is asking, why was the standard naming of custom.css changed to user.css? I think he's asking about Cassiopeia.
No, actually, it was already user.css with Protostar, which has been during 10 years the default front-end template for Joomla 3. There's no such thing as a standard. I mean, it's just a choice. Many commercial templates have chosen for custom.css, but it does not matter. It's just a choice, right? So here, since Protostar was user.css, I guess they have kept that for Cassiopeia, but it's just the name of a file, so it has no real importance. It's just that, I mean, it is in the documentation. If you have a look, you quickly find that the name for Cassiopeia is user.css. But if you use, I don't know, many templates out there, not all of them, but most of the time it is custom.css.
Yeah, so it's, I think, just a choice that a template developer makes, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's like, why did I call my son Quentin while you have other nice first names? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Another question from Jeff is that he's asking, what tool do you prefer and you found that works best for emptying the cache in the browser? He seems to be struggling with that constantly.
Oh, here, for example, I had a case once when I was refreshing here and I had changed user.css and I had, well, here I'm on Windows, so to refresh, I press F5, right? And then I was saying, oh yes, it has not refreshed my user.css. So what I did on my Windows computer is, instead of just pressing F5, I'm pressing Control plus F5, and that's enough to refresh, to force the browser to refresh the CSS file.
Yeah, that's right. And anything else is just a server-side cache, not a browser-side cache. So you can't really do much unless the server side is refreshed.
But there is also Joomla clear my cache. Let me just quickly find.
I think there's a plugin by.
Yeah. Okay. Good. This is a website
okay.
Made by Elisa Fultin. I was speaking about the many J positive people that I like to thank at the end. So Elisa Fultin from Germany has already done a lot for Joomla and helping people, etc. So actually, she has built, this is a Joomla website, which is called clear-my-cache.com. And it is multilingual. So I made the French version and other people made the Dutch and the German version and the English version. And so this is a nice site because it explains for every browser, for every platform, how you can clear your cache. Really the hard way, really, when you want to totally clear it.
That's pretty cool. Really cool.
That's a Joomla website.
Of course, yeah. All right.
But on a day-to-day basis, just Control plus F5 does it most of the time for me.
Yeah, I think that definitely does work all of the times I've seen, unless the CS. Sometimes what I've seen is that custom templates or a lot of the template shops create CSS based on multiple CSS files and they cache a version on the server. So unless you do like a recreate of the CSS from the backend, you'll still keep on seeing the old CSS unless you recreate the CSS. So I've seen some of the templates do that. So in that case, you would also recreate the CSS or flush the server side cache as well, unless before you can see the changes. So that's just another point.
Yeah.
All right.
This question of cache is a bit independent of the topic of the day, but since we are mentioning it, actually, for example, for me or for you, it's obvious to say, oh, just press Control F5. But for end users, for some of my customers, sometimes even that is too difficult. Or maybe they are on Mac and I don't know what the shortcut is on Mac, or maybe they use another browser. So actually, another very easy solution for them is just to say, oh, open your browser in private mode, incognito mode, right? There, immediately it will fetch the latest CSS files. So that's an easy way, and then my end users are happy. Oh yes, indeed, you had done the changes I had asked. Okay, then they believe me because they really understand what the cache means for their browser. But I mean, normal people who don't work in the web are not even aware that there is a cache and what the cache means.
Absolutely. Cool. So I think that was the last question. I think the time zone hopefully we'll see more comments on the video once the video goes up. When people watch it from US and other parts of the world.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it was 9 a.m. for me. So I had to put my alarm clock because I'm not always ready at 9 a.m. in the morning. But yes, indeed. And I'm quite excited with all here I was focusing on the Joomla 4.1 smart search result page, thanks to Sakis, who introduced the intro image as a feature. But there are so many exciting things in Joomla 4.1, and in particular the child templates. I think it would be worth to make maybe another session for Techjoomla. Interesting session is to give.
Always welcome to do another session on
different examples of how to add an analytics code to your website easily, to add a field in your an option in the template, how to add a position in the template very easily thanks to child templates.
Absolutely. I think the custom fields and templates is a powerful construct. I mean, you can do really fantastic stuff with it. I mean, we've used it quite a lot. So definitely, I think the best part of the CMS is custom fields and the flexibility of the layout. So I would agree with you. All right. So thanks, Mark, and thanks everybody for joining in today. It was an amazing session.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yep. So
thanks for organizing these sessions. It's really appreciated because
absolutely,
I always learn a lot of things.
Yeah, and I think we're also happy to have I mean, some great speakers like you, a few others in the past. So I think it's always good for our viewers to get to know about all these new things. So looking forward to another session. Thanks a lot, Mark. All right, so thanks viewers. So this was, like I said, the 7th edition. We look forward to seeing everybody again in the March version. Look out, you can kind of follow us on Twitter to get updates on the new sessions. Till then, you can watch the live stream on YouTube when it should be up in the next hour or so. Thanks a lot.
Okay, good. Then.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.